Hi everyone, welcome back to Total War Therapy, and today I'm gonna show you every new unit coming for High Elves with the new DLC Tides of Torment. I wanna say thanks to Creative Assembly for this incredible opportunity and to all of you to have made my dream come true. Don't forget to subscribe and let's begin. Hi, I'm Alberto, I'm a real person, and here you will find the beginner's guide, the battle unit roster, tier list, ranking, and many shorts. So if you wanna support the channel, please consider to subscribe. See Lord Aislinn. There are many reasons why I'm so excited about this character coming. First, because we're gonna finally get new units for High Elves. We're gonna give a reason to exist to the Eastern Colonies Islands in the very edge of the Immortal Empire's map. And then because his campaign is unique not only in the High Elves array, but also in the entire game. But I will not spoiler to you anything else about the campaign, so let's focus on the character. See Lord Aislinn on foot is a melee specialist with an anti-infantry focus. He got plenty of armor, a nice melee attack and an incredible melee defense for a double sword character, good weapon strength, a charge bonus quite impressive, and multiple abilities that boost many stuff. One in particular that it's quite popular in this faction, that is the Master of Mist, where it basically give to the allies in range the stalk, the snipe, and the double of the range of to these units. And then it got access to two mounts, the Skycutter chariot and the Star Dragon. That is a particular one is quite it's similar to a sea dragon with this light blue and white colors, that it's quite nice. And yeah, overall is both a support lord and a melee specialist, very good at everything, and yeah, I like it. Many people don't like that much the model, but I can tell you that it's fine and the armor is pretty good. The Sea Helm is the generic Lord version of Sea Lord Aislinn to respect the naval theme, and following their Lord, they get a lot of armor, in this case with the shield to be more protected by missile attack. They have nice melee attack and a very huge melee defense, weapon strength with the anti-large bonus, not armor piercing when they are on foot. I can tell you that they are particularly dangerous against large foes. If you send them against a mounted character, some cavalry, believe me, they will do plenty of damage with this trident that I really like the aesthetics. Then they can have two mounts, the Great Eagle if you want to be more fast and precise, and the Skycutter if you want more a support flying chariot. They get plenty of abilities, especially in the campaign, and yes, I mean they're good. They're good both as a melee specialist and as a support characters. And then yeah, the model is very cool, and with the Skycutter or the Great Eagle they got plenty of charge, plenty of speed, so they are perfect at what they do. As a legendary hero, we're gonna get the Caradryan of the Flame, that in the lore is the captain of the Phoenix Guard. That's why he's an anti-large character with a lot of armor, a very big one. The speed of course is a little reduced for this heavy armored. The melee attack and the melee defense are high. He got the flaming attack, and yeah, the anti-large bonus, the armor piercing damage, and plenty of abilities that one can heal the enemies, one can grant magical damage to the allies nearby, and when his hit points are less than 20%, he will even cause damage to the enemies nearby. And then he got access to Ashtari, that is a flame frost phoenix, something between, and with this mount he will get not only the fire damage but also the magical damage and the frost fire, that is something between. Basically he reduced the speed of the enemies like the frost bite, but it reduces also the resistance to fire like the flaming effect. That it's everything very great for me. Of course, in the campaign he boosted the Phoenix, and the Phoenix if I remember correctly, and the Phoenix Guard of course, so you can use it in a thematic army. And yeah, it's a very cool character with a cool lore, and I'm very happy to get him in the game. The Mist Mage is the new generic hero for the High Elves with an exclusive and unique lore of magic that we're gonna talk about in another video. So for now, just let's focus on the character. He can get as a mount the Great Eagle for maximum speed and to the Skycutter Chariot for being more a support unit with some melee capabilities but not armor piercing. Then, as I said, we're gonna talk about the spells in the other video, so I will mention just some of the abilities. In the campaign he got an ability that he can use to hide some troops. Then there is one that increases the missile resistance of all the allies nearby. That is great if you are with a flying mount because you can cover a better area. And then he can negate the magical weapons, he can silence characters and so on. So overall a great support with a lot of magic that is mostly focused on buffs and debuffs, but he can also summon a unit of Oceanids, and then as a melee unit with the chariot, I mean, I would not rely on it as a damage dealer, but at least it can absorb a little of damage, or I mean, disrupt the enemy formation. Now let's talk about the melee infantry, and let's start with the ship's company. That is a unit that changes drastically the early game of the High Elves, because if you don't have any other DLC, with the High Elves you will get access at the beginning of your campaign only to the Spearmen. That is an iconic unit that is very defensive, focused against the large entities, but with the ship's company you have a valid alternative against the other melee infantry, because the Spearmen are not very good against them. They are even a little cheaper, and they got the aquatic trait. That means that you can pull the enemies in the water, because the melee infantry of the enemy will get affected, penalized by the water, but you not. In any case, you get a little armor, not that much. The melee attack and melee defense, weapon strength are all very little, with a little higher charge bonus than the one of other defensive units. But yeah, overall they're just another defensive units with the shield, so quite protected from missile attacks, that you can replace to the spearmen as your front line for your army. Just to have a quick comparison with the spearmen, they will get basically more melee attack, more weapon strength, and a lot more of charge, but they will sacrifice the melee defense, the leadership, and even the armor. So you can just decide if you want a unit more defensive that focus on tearing apart large entities. It's probably better the spearmen, while if you have to fight against hordes of melee infantry, the ship's company is the favorite choice. Just few seconds to share with you that I followed your suggestion and I opened a page on Fiverr where, if you ever would like, you can tell me with which faction, campaign or area of the game you want to improve, and I will prepare a Total War Warhammer class just for you. The company of the Caradryan is the regiment renowned version of the ship's company, and they are quite different. They get, I think, the double of the armor, and then they replace the martial prowess with the martial mastery, that is the enhanced ability, and they got the great weapons. So they will sacrifice the shield and a little of defense, so they will be less protected from missile attack, but with the great weapons they cause several armor piercing damage. That is great in the mid and late campaign when you will fight against the more armored melee infantry, and yeah, I think it's a nice touch for your army, mostly made of ship's company, you know, with the naval theme and so on. The Blades of Hoeth is the new regiment renowned version of the Swordmasters of Hoeth, and they are quite similar. They just get the Guardian ability where they grant physical resistance to the Lord and hero nearby, so you can use them as a bodyguard of your character, and then some spell resistance, together with some magical damage. So they're basically the more magical and protector version of the Swordmasters of Hoeth. The Lothern Skycutters, one of the units that I was waiting the most for this game, and I'm so happy they arrived. They are basically these, no, they are not eagle, they are not oaks, it's like another kind of birds that they are pulling these flying chariots, magical, beautifully designed with these archers atop. Now, let's talk about the unit from every perspective. This flying chariot, of course, is not a melee unit, but you can use it to distract, to disrupt some formation, but yeah, don't rely that much on that. But the good thing is that at least you can escape quite easily, because you will see from the animation the unit is always kinda flying. Then the armor is good, but of course you should be very careful of the missile attacks of your enemy, because they can take you down quite easily. The range weapon is stronger than generic archers, because apparently they shoot 3 projectiles per 3 volleys per shot, and the range is a little reduced compared to the other archers, because it's just 140, but it will be increased the damage because of the height from where they are shooting. And the missile strength is quite high. They have magical damage with their ranged weapons, and this ability called momentum that is a little hard to explain, because it's something in combination with Sea Helm. Maybe I will tell you in another video. In any case, I have to say overall that I think this unit is arguably helpful, because I mean, as a support against a mostly melee faction with not many flying units, he can be great, because I mean, it's this constant support. They deal over time a lot of damage. But if I have to tell you my opinion, I would not suggest it in the... I mean, I love the unit, but I would not suggest it in an army when you want to boost the efficiency, because yeah, their damage is limited. In melee, they are not that good. So yeah, overall, I think the aesthetics is definitely better than the use of the unit itself. The Lothern Skycutters with the bolt throwers are instead one of the best units of this roster, because they're basically a flying artillery piece with a chariot implementation, so you can just deploy them at the back of your front line, so well defended, and given the increased height, they will have a better clear sight of the enemy when they shoot at them. And at the same time, with this mobility, you can just go wherever you want, especially in the siege battles. They can be extremely useful. As the Eagle Bolt Thrower, they have the double kind of ammunition, the multi-shot against infantry and the single shot against the monster, cavalry and the characters, I mean at least the big characters, and then you are still a chariot, so in case you finish the ammunition or you need some melee support to some units, you can still use them to distract the enemy, to charge a little bit. Of course, they will not cause a lot of damage to the foes, but at the same time, you know, they can absorb quite well. The armor is great, and they can escape, as I said, for the generic Lothern Skycutter quite easily. So overall, one of the best units here. I'm so happy to play with them. Believe me, it's so funny to have this artillery that it's flying and they can just move around, escape, and wow, I mean, very funny and yeah, destructive. The Oceanids are the first monstrous infantry unit coming to the High Elves roster. They are these water-based elementals that I mean, this water effect is cool, but at the same time a little weird. It works better for the sea elemental, at least in my opinion. But if you get close, you can hear the sound of the water. That is great and very relaxing, I may say. Then they're quite defensive. Okay, they're not offensive. In the blog they say that they are damage dealer, but honestly no, they absorb damage and they're very great at that. The armor is 0, but don't worry, because you have the physical resistance, the missile resistance, the fire resistance, the immunity to contact effects, the strider, and also the perfect vigor, because water never got tired. Of course, they have the speed. It's good. I mean, I cannot say contrary. The charge bonus is little, the melee attack is bad, but as I say, the melee defense is very high, and the weapon strength is not armor piercing because, I mean, how can you expect the water to be armor piercing? But they are at least anti-infantry. So overall, I would not use them to fight alone against other melee infantry because they will fail. I try them with many, even low tier, not anti-large melee infantry, but they lose the fight. But as a support, you know, just to absorb the damage while your other units are dealing damage to the enemies, they may be great. And then, I mean, the aesthetics is very, very cool and pretty awesome for your naval thematic army. By the way, if you are considering to buy one of the many amazing DLCs of Total War Warhammer 3, there is a link in the description that will bring you directly to Instant Gaming, a place where you can find your favorite games with a great discount, and through the link you will also support the channel. The Sea Elemental is one of the most wonderful things that I've seen in this game, and I could stay minutes and minutes just looking at its animation because they are so cool, they are so gentle, soft and relaxing. I really love this unit, but it's still a colossal monster, very, very expensive, that got all the attributes of the Oceanids, so immunity to contact effect, strider, perfect vigor, missile resistance, physical resistance, fire resistance. They are all elemental, so when their leadership drops down, they will start to cause damage to themselves. That is not that good, so be careful about the leadership. And then it got a couple of ability. One that basically can, to the allies, it can help the missile block chance, and then give the stalk and the snipe, so great if you need a sniper unit. And to the enemy, they will reduce the leadership and the melee attack. And then when the leadership drop down the 20%, they will summon an entity of Oceanids that then they will explode when they fall. Overall, a great monster as to absorb damage. In this case, it's a tank, so just put it into the middle and don't worry, he will suffer almost no damage. And then these animation are quite disrupting in the way that they can break the formation, the army formation of your enemy quite easily. And yeah, then at some point just stop and have a look, you know, take a tea. Because I mean, this animation, I mean, when he charges, basically he created this wave, and then yeah, I mean, it's all water. Okay, it's so relaxing, so gentle. It's not devouring anyone. I mean, there is an animation where he basically pulls in an enemy inside, but yeah, so you know, for kids, I don't know, but yeah, still very, very lovely. The Merwyrm. I can tell you that you're in front of the new biggest monster and the unit in this game, because this monster is longer and bigger than the Dread Saurian, or I mean, at least they are at the same level. I didn't expect it to be that big, and I could not imagine that the High Elves would have been the faction with the biggest monster in their roster. Overall, I mean, it's just wonderful. The animation are very, very cool. It's very mobile for being a unit of this size. It's an aquatic monster, and then it will get the regeneration, so it's not even one of the units with highest hit points of the game, but it can also regenerate these hit points. He got this ability that increased the missile block chance at 360 degrees, and that reduce the leadership of the enemies in range. It's a wall breaker, so it's a siege machine that can break walls. He has some missile resistance because he got the scaling skin, as you know. And then yeah, plenty of armor. The melee attack is huge. The speed, I mean, it's very fast for a unit that big. And then the weapon strength is more than 700 with anti-large bonus. This is a monster hunter, a cavalry killer, so you have just to chase down cavalry monsters and use it as a jolly. But of course it deals a lot of damage to melee infantry too. Be very, very careful of missile attack and anti-large melee infantry, because it's a very big target. So when he got surrounded by units, he will be hit by by so many different entities that, believe me, the damage that you will suffer is insane. But yeah, I mean, great, and it's one of the most expensive. I think a little less than the Dread Saurian, but yeah, definitely it will break your bank account. Silak One Eye is the regiment of renown version of the Merwyrm, still very big, and the stats are a little increased, but the ability that makes the difference is this enfeebling cold, where basically reduce the charge bonus, melee attack and charge speed of the enemies in within range. That I mean, it doesn't change that much, we can say, and it's more blue. Say that, thank you for following me, and let's see very soon.